Can you be a strong leader and remain humble? Today we're going to spend some time with Louise Cornelius in discovering her journey as a humble leader in the strength of growing the Oneida Casino Hotel.
At InitiativeOne, we're igniting a leadership revolution by helping organizations eliminate the drama, improve decision-making, and win as a team. Join Dr. Fred Johnson on the Leadership Initiative podcast as we uncover insights to maximize your impact and transform your life.
Welcome back to the Leadership Initiative podcast. I'm so excited today to introduce Louise Cornelius. Louise is the GM, the general manager for the Oneida Casino Hotel, and it would be the equivalent to the CEO of any large corporation or organization. So welcome, Louise. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you.
So Louise today is going to share with us some of her experience in her leadership growth as she has been with Oneida Casino Hotel for close to 25 years and nationally recognized in the Indian Gaming Association for her leadership across the country. So as we kick off today, Louise, I just have a couple of questions. Why don't you share with our audience just some influences in your leadership from your story perspective and how you grew up in leadership and into your current role as CEO/general manager for the Oneida Casino Hotel?
Well, thank you, Tracy, for that introduction. And it's my pleasure to be here to talk about my leadership role and also my years of service. So, in 1976, Oneida Nation started a bingo operation. And during that time, it was to help pay for the utilities, electric bills, and so on. So it grew phenomenally and grew very fast in the Oneida Nation. So my first experience actually was in 1989. And 88 and 89, and I did a lot of the frontline work in the bingo operation. I was mentored by two ladies, Elma Webster and Sandra Ninham Bremer. And these two ladies taught me, was the beginning of my gaming career. So I moved away shortly thereafter, and I started my first management in 1985 as a relief supervisor for bingo operations. So I was hired by Sandra Ninham and Elma Webster. And then at that time, Chairman Purcell Paulus was our chairman. He had been a chairman for like 20-some years, 23 years, I believe. Percy Paulus and Emeritus Rick Hill. He was a former chairman, and these two gentlemen believed strongly in me, and I grew quite rapidly up the chain of command, or chain of leadership. So by 1991, we negotiated a compact with the state of Wisconsin. So that was for 7 years. That was our first compact and our first growth in Oneida to do casino-style games. That was the beginning of the growth that I was in my leadership life. I was honored and respected highly by our chairman, and likewise, I was the same way. I respected them, and more importantly, they believed in me. They believed in my leadership. They believed in my talent and skill set that I can lead our team to where it is today. And so from there, that's how we grew. We grew substantially, renewed our compact, and became a multi-million-dollar business.
You have done amazing, amazing work. Louise is very humble in how she just described that, because I know some of the leadership that she grew up with and under. And my question for you is really, what were some of those important lessons? I mean, those are some amazing leaders that came alongside of you, and you describe your service to the nation. And I think about those leaders, and I just think about their mindset. What were some of the key things that you remember learning from those leaders at that point in time that really created who you are today?
Well, that is a big, strong statement right there. And I love that question, Tracy. I will say one of the strongest leadership skills that I have stayed within myself is to always remain humble. Always remain humble. And I have a love and a passion for our nation. I want us to develop. I want us to grow. I want us to be able to provide for all the services that the tribe, our nation, offers for housing, education, health, all those things for our people. So that's where my heart always has been and always will be.
I have worked with you for 5 years. I think it's been close to 5 years. And your statement that you just made holds true throughout that period of time that I've worked with you. And I have such respect for, and it's really purpose work. It really comes down to being on purpose. And for you, being on purpose is serving your community and the people within the community so that they can have thriving lives. That's a big responsibility as you lead the Oneida Casino, because by far some of the funding, a lot of the funding that goes into the thriving of the nation really is dependent on your success in leading the casino hotel.
Yes. Well, I have a dynamite team. I have to say that. I have an extraordinary team that's very talented, very educated, and very knowledgeable, have many years of service within our nation and as well as in their positions. So I have to contribute. It doesn't take all about Louise. It's about the team. So we're very dynamic. We're data-driven teams.
Yeah.
We make decisions all based on data. And so myself, I like to work from a team concept. That's my management style. And I also empower my team to make decisions. I want to support them when they make decisions. And so we do it jointly. There's good communication. I strongly believe in my own personal life, I believe in the 3 C's. And my 3 C's is as long as we have good communication, strong communication all over the whole gaming operation. We want to be in compliance with all our rules because we're heavily regulated. And thirdly, we want to have the best customer service so all our guests internally and externally come back and work for us and are happy. That is my personal philosophy.
I have seen it. I have seen it play itself out across the entire organization and the commitment to, I've seen your commitment to developing the people around you. And when I think about the people around you, I know they have been with you for a while. I want you to respond to this question. How do you go about selecting those people around you? So how did you know that they were the right individuals around you?
I have always done my interviews with personal questions as well as business questions. So, for example, I believe there's 2 phases of trust. There's a personal trust, and then there's a professional trust. And the professional trust is what I look for. When a person said they're going to do something or they're going to accomplish, this is what they believe in, I trust that that's going to be completed. So that is one thing I really look for. I am a very humble person. I want to be able to trust a person, and I want to have honesty.
And I would say the people around you emulate that based on how you emulate that to them and within your team. Back to the early days, can you recall a specific influence? I think of Rick Hill, and we had a chance to get to know him. He passed a while ago, but what a wonderful person. Can you think of some of the advisement that he gave you back when he was supporting you and pressing you to grow as a leader? Do you remember any of his words of advice or words that you even pay it forward from then?
Well, I will say in 2009, he was serving as the chairman. He had come back and served as a chairman one more term. And he placed a phone call to me, and I was working as executive director for the Gaming Commission at that time. And he called me. He said, "Louise, I have a question, and I would like you to come back as the gaming general manager." And I said, "Can I think about this for about 24 hours, Rick?" And he says, all right, I will give you 24 hours. So this was like on a Thursday afternoon, like close to 4:30. At 8 a.m. on Friday, he calls me and he says, I need you to come back. Have you made a decision? And I said, well, it isn't 24 hours, but yes, I will come back. He just believed in me. He said, I need to sleep. And I said, I need to sleep. And so, he needed somebody he could trust, is what it really boiled down to. He said, I trust you. I believe in you. I know you can do this. And I know your leadership skills. And even if I step back even further about my leadership skills, I learned that from my father.
Talk to me about that. What specifically? I think about the mentors and the people that come into my life, and these are some really powerful leaders,
Yes.
people breathing into you and helping you to grow as a leader. So from your father's perspective, how did he play into that?
Well, my father, he was known as like the boss, back in the day when I was young, real young, my father was known as the boss on the job. He worked in the union and he always was in that role all his life that I could remember. So, he had subordinates that worked for him and he was a pipe layer. And and he also was a coach. He was a coach for at least 10 years, maybe longer for baseball. So I grew up in the sports world. I love athletics.
Athletics?
Yes, and I love sports, baseball, football, basketball. My brother grew up in each one of them. And so my father was a coach, and he took me to every game. And so I was like the only girl in the car with all the baseball players. But his baseball players, he was a coach and he demanded respect. But he also gave the leadership for all the players. And that always inspired me. That was my inspiration in life.
I think about that. You probably helped him select the players. You probably absorbed a lot. I'm guessing you
Yes.
absorbed a lot in how he coached, how he led his team, how he poured into them, all of the above. Excellent. Now let's fast forward to today. You continue to grow as an organization.
Yes.
And part of that growth has been to add additional teams into your organization. And you've had to lead through that. And that is my question for you would be what have been some of the things that if you were advising somebody who is having another team join their team, what has been very helpful? What have been the learnings through that process? And we work with companies that sometimes are merged with another organization, and there are culture things that happen, or they acquire another organization. What advisement you've been at it for over a year? What would you advise somebody who had to be in that same situation?
Well, I kind of just recently looked at, we had to consolidate with the hotel, Oneida Hotel. It's Oneida Casino and Hotel right now. And so I kind of went through that experience just recently.
Yeah.
For the past 10 months, from January till October 2024, did a consolidation. Now, we're not through with the consolidation. However, we went through a lot of the key points of merging together. And one of the biggest advice I can give to other companies is to look at your organizational structure. Because the organizational structure will tell you a story of where your strengths are and how you want to align individuals and surround yourself by key people. I surround myself with top-notch people. I really do. They're smarter, they're talented, and they're educated in their particular field.
Seen that.
And so how I just my personality, or not my personality, but my way of thinking of how to relate to each one is different.
Yeah.
So you have to be able to adjust, pivot your personality, pivot your conversation,
Yeah.
and be able to, focus on the conversation, whatever you're going to have. And sometimes that can be challenging because some people are not in the right positions.
Yeah.
So, we always look at putting people in the right positions for their skill set, their talent, their education.
You continually come back to this notion of always serving the team that is around you, and it is not about you. That humility keeps showing up in our conversation, and I've seen that in action as you've worked with your team. Part of alignment and what you're describing is really, I've seen you do that. I've seen you look at like what is the skill set that we need in each of the, as you were coming together in each of the areas, and how can you help them to thrive. I think one of the other components that I'd love for you to speak to today, because you are in your position you have so much wisdom to offer younger leaders within the nation, outside of the nation. If you were a younger version of yourself just coming out, what would you advise yourself in your growth in leadership? And I think about it because you're in a very political environment. You're close because you're in a nation. It's close to the government. And you've got sometimes some challenges that you have to overcome and some things that you have to overcome. How would you advise a new leader trying to navigate both the business success, the political environment, and navigating through all of that?
Oh, that is a very good question.
It's a big question.
It's a
I
big
know.
question.
You can
Yes,
go in
thank
lots of
you.
directions.
So I would say to someone that you have to be strong and be able to manage leadership as well as politics. That's probably been a little bit of a challenge in my life, but I grew through it. I've learned it and I understand it. So the biggest learning lesson I have learned is to listen. And a lot of times I'm the last one to speak. But I do know that when you're the last person to speak, that's what everybody remembers. So that is, I think, a strength that I've learned just recently in my last probably 5 years. And part of it has to go with the training and development that we've learned through InitiativeOne.
Thank you.
Yes, and had the opportunity to look at myself to see where I needed to grow, and that is something I needed to learn, and I did, and I applied those skills and that learning, and that has helped me tremendously. And for my staff, it's always about development and growth for me, and they know my forte. That's what I want. I want us to continue to grow. I want us to always look at the future. I want us to know that we are planting the seed for the next 7 generations for our nation.
You have been an inspiration to me, number one, and I say that because you just described growth that you didn't have to step into. You didn't have to be successful. You've been successful.
Thank you.
And you continue to step into growth. And you recently won an award. I'd love for you to talk about that award. And it's an example of how you have committed a lifetime of leadership and improving, and you don't just apply it to others. You point those fingers right back at you and say, what do I need to learn from this? And you take those important nuggets and you implement them. And it's been amazing to watch. And you just spoke to something that, you watch and you observe, but to have you say that out loud is like, oh my gosh, like you continue to grow. You continue to grow. So talk to us about the award, the award that you recently won, that you were surprised by.
Yes. So recently I attended the Indian Gaming Association. It's an annual event that takes place in San Diego, California. And so the chairman, as well as one of his friends, Oscar Schuyler, one of my former colleagues, he works in Texas now, asked me to come out and join for a ribbon cutting ceremony. So, I don't travel a whole lot anymore. I traveled a lot in my life. And so I said, okay, I will do this. but I was kind of reluctant because I don't travel a lot.
The story is she was very reluctant. It took them multiple attempts.
Yes, it did. I said I didn't have a room, so that was my first attempt, and they said, we'll take care of that. And I said, oh, but I want to be at the specific hotel, so we'll take care of that. I said, okay, everything's looking positive here for this trip. So they said we're honoring women, and we want to honor you. We want to honor you to be a participant of the ribbon cutting for the event, for the National Indian Gaming Association event, which is large. There's probably like thousands of people that attend every year. Every year they have it once a year. So I said I would go. They got me a room. I got my flight. And we went out there, and I thought, well, okay, well, I'm going to be part of the ribbon cutting. I'm all excited. I'm celebrating,
Yep.
And then, so when I got there, they said, well, we want you to join breakfast. So I went to the breakfast. And first thing he did, he recognized me and like 11 other women that were at the breakfast. And I thought, okay, this is nice. I love it. I
Yes.
feel good, positive feelings. And then we went to the ribbon cutting, and they kind of put us in this green room, like a holding room, and called us out one by one. And we went out, and it was an event. It was kind of like a ceremony where there's some singing going on, and then we cut the ribbon. And then he said, we'll be going to the stage after that. And I'm like, what? Okay, we're going to the stage, the chairman stage. So there's a big chairman stage, and and there's hundreds of vendors and hundreds of people that attend. It's the biggest event of the year. And so, okay, we went to the stage, and one by one we were called up again. And then I received this very beautiful Crystal Award. I was selected as one of the 12 women, matriarch women in the United States representing gaming. So the Indian Gaming Association was celebrating their 40th year, and this was my 40th year in being in Indian gaming totally. So I am in my 40th year, so I was very, very surprised to receive such an honor. Felt so honored. My heart was just pounding because I was just totally surprised. I wasn't expecting any of this, and but it was good. I felt really, I don't know what to say. I felt truly honored and blessed.
It is a reflection of your lifetime commitment to serving your nation.
Yes.
And you had described just how emotional that was for you, and I think about you, and I'm always, it goes back to the humility. You are your humbleness as a leader, yeah, and the influence that you have made in the gaming industry and locally. I think about Green Bay and the Oneida Nation and the impact that you have made across so many lives, and what an amazing honor to be able to work with your team and with you. And I just want to thank you for all of that.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure. This has been an honor to share my story, so to speak, and be a part of this podcast.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Louise. Thanks for joining us on today's podcast. We'd also love to see you at our monthly think tanks, or if you'd just like to connect with us at InitiativeOne.com, you can connect with one of our team members, and any way that we can help, please reach out.